Hello everyone, my name is Ashik Ahmed and welcome to the second video in the series of video tutorials for Java programming. Don't forget, click on the subscribe button and click on the bell icon as well to stay up to date with every video I upload on my channel. So there are lot of things to learn, lot of videos to come. So now let's get started. So in the last tutorial, we saw about the introduction to Java. So in that we saw what Java was, why it was created, and we saw some Java buzzwords. We saw what exactly that bytecode was, and after that, at the end, we saw even the difference between JDK, JVM, and JRE. So now let us go see what we will be doing in this presentation. So here we'll be studying about the overview of Java. And in the last tutorial itself, I said that Java is an object-oriented programming language. So there are certain features like abstraction, encapsulation, polymorphism, and inheritance. So I will be talking about them in detail in this particular tutorial. So first of all, object-oriented programming. So there are two types of programming actually which exist in programming languages. First we have procedural oriented programming language, and then after that we have object oriented programming language. So in procedural programming language, we can also call them as process oriented model. So in that, code simply acts on data, so nothing else happens. Code simply acts on data. That's it. Data, it does not control any access to code or something like that. Nothing else. Nothing happens like that. Code simply acts on data. That's it. So C is a kind of procedural based programming language. And in object-oriented model, what happens is that data, it controls access to code, like with the help of access specifiers, which we'll be discussing in detail very soon. So like Java, C++, they are object oriented programming language. So in that, data controls access to code. And so let us now discuss in detail. Now let us talk about abstraction first. So what is abstraction? Abstraction is nothing but hiding certain details and showing only essential details to the user. Like for example, assume that a car is being driven by a person. So the car driver, what the car driver is doing, he's simply turning the steering wheel. He's changing the gear by using the gear lever, and then after that he's accelerating the car by pressing accelerator, pressing the brakes to decelerate the car, and changing gears by pressing the clutch and then using the gear lever, etc. So this is just a brief concept that what the driver is doing. So what he's exactly doing, he doesn't need to understand that how the engine is working, what is happening inside the engine. He doesn't need to understand that how brakes are working, and in much the same manner, he doesn't even need to understand that how the internal mechanics of the car are working. He just needs to know how to drive the car, how to operate steering wheel, how to press the pedals, how to operate the gear lever, etc. So these are the only things which he needs to know. But car contains a lot of internal parts which the driver doesn't have any knowledge about. So this is what abstraction is all about: hiding certain details and showing only essential information. That is what is called as abstraction. So in Java, we can achieve abstraction by using abstract classes and interfaces. So we'll be discussing them very soon later on. Then encapsulation is like, if we talk about the bookish definition of encapsulation, encapsulation is nothing but binding the data members and member functions into a single unit. That is what encapsulation is all about. So now the question comes to mind: what is data member, what is member function? In Java, if you need to run a Java program, it is mandatory to create a class. You cannot run a Java program without creating a class. So inside a class, if you define a variable, then that variable is called as data members. And in much the same manner, if you define a member function inside a class, then if you define a function or a method inside a class, then that function or a method become a member function. So that is what is the definition of data member and member functions. So when I start programming, I will be explaining in more depth. So mostly I think it will be in the next video, in the next tutorial. So now, what is a class? That also I have defined here. So, like it is going to be the basic structure or basic behavior which is going to be shared by the set of object. So, what is object? Object, it is the instance of a class, and class, it is going to be the blueprint of that particular object. So, it is going to define how that particular object is going to behave, how it is going to, structure, how it is going to look like. So that is the a class. Now let us go to the accessibility modifiers. So public, private, and protected. So what is accessibility modifier? Now these are the keywords which modify how the code can be accessed by external classes. Like for example, if I talk about public, okay, so public means data members or member functions which are marked as public, they can be accessed from outside the class. Okay, it is just like this like if you have experience in developing YouTube videos and all. So there are two visibility modifier in that. One is public and one is private. So if you make it public, each and every person who has access to your channel, he can see view the video. However, if you make it private, only the content creator can view that YouTube video. So this is also in much the same manner. So public means it can be accessed from externally. Okay, each and every class can view, that is known as public. It can have access to that data member and member function. Now private means only the class or the member functions inside that particular class, they can access that particular either function or a data member. Okay, so that is what private is. So I will this will be more clear when I will explain through the help of the code. Now if we talk about protected, so protected is nothing but it is accessibility modifier in between public and private. So protected is in between public and private. So basically what happens in protected is if any data member or any member function it is marked as protected, then that data member or that member function will be visible only in the same class and in the subclass. Subclass means the class which is inheriting the current class. So subclass concept I'll be discussing in detail soon, either in the next video or something. So then inheritance, so what is inheritance? Inheritance, it is the property or it is the process by which one class it is able to acquire all the properties of another class. So that is what inheritance is all about. Like for example, here I mentioned that car is a vehicle. Here vehicle is the base class or it is the super class. Okay, it is the parent class you can say, and car is the child class. Okay, so like just like in human beings, what happens, you are inheriting some properties from your parents. So your parents, obviously they are going to give some of their characteristics to you. So you are a child class, and your parents are going to be kind of a parent class or the base class. So that is the easy way to understand it. So like for example, here car is a vehicle. Here vehicle is the parent class. It is going to give some of its properties or some of its characteristics to the car class. So car is a vehicle. Okay. Now polymorphism. So we'll be discussing this with the help of example also. So like I will be explaining with the help of code. So if time permits, I will do it in this video. Otherwise, I will do it in the next one. Now polymorphism. So polymorphism is nothing but the ability to have more than one form. So polymorphism means a same method is there, but it has multiple implementation or more than one implementation. That is what polymorphism is. So this can be, polymorphism can be achieved with the help of interfaces and abstract classes. So now I'm going to talk about a dog analogy which I mentioned in the third point. So in this analogy, what I'm going to say is that, like, consider a dog. Okay, a dog is there, and it is going to, you know very well that dog. smell ability to smell, is very very high. Dog can smell very, easily. So now, what a dog is doing, if it smells a cat, assume if it is smelling a cat, it is going to run after it. Okay, it is going to chase it, it is going to run after it. However, if the same dog, it is going to smell food. Okay, what it is going to do, it is going to go towards it and it is going to eat it, try to eat it. So the same smell ability is there, but it is behaving differently. So that is exactly what happens in Java also. Same method, multiple implementation. So it is multiple implementation means basically it is responding differently. Same function is responding differently in different situations. So that is what polymorphism is. So now this is a very simple Java program. So here what we are doing here, first of all, we are creating a class which is named as program. So this is the syntax to create a class. First you need to write a class, and remember Java is case sensitive. So this C, it is mandatory to keep the C as lowercase. You cannot make this as uppercase C. So because the Java is case sensitive, so this has to be lowercase c, and then this class name, it always has to start with uppercase letter. So whatever you write here, it has to be uppercase. So program, then after that you need to start with this opening curly bracket. Then after this means that the class has started here. So whatever I'm writing inside this belongs to that particular class. Like here I've written the main method. This main method, it belongs to that this class program. Okay, so then after that I'm defining the this function as public static void main string arguments. So let us look at the word one by one. We know very well that main is, we were very familiar with that word, because main method is, it always exists, whether you're using C, whether you're using C++, whether you're using Java, or whether you're using any kind of means. Most of the programming language, they have a main method. So this main method is what is called by the JVM. So as soon as the program starts, whenever you execute the Java program, the JVM starts working, and it is going to call this particular main method. So now let us see what is the, this public static void. Now public, as I said just three or four slides ago, we are marking it as public because we want, some other class or some other, thing to access this particular function. So we want external classes to access this particular main function, because JVM, it is an external program. So it has to access this main function. That is why we're making it public. Now, what is the meaning of the static? Static means a static member function or a static data member. It can be accessed without creating an object. Okay, so basically static member functions and data members, they belong to the class, they don't belong to an object. We don't, it is not necessary, actually it is not at all necessary to create an object to access static member functions or static data members. So we can simply write program.main, and this main method will be called. So that is why we make it a static. Then after that, void. What is the meaning of this void? Void means it is not going to return a value. Otherwise, what happens in Java, if you make it as int, or here if you write a string and all, actually that is not allowed, because here the method name is going to be main. So Java allows only this particular definition, public static void. But you can definitely write some other return type in another function. Like for example, I'm creating some another function here below this main function. So I can type it like public string to string. Okay, so actually to string, that is an already, Java already defines the to string function actually. So that I'll be discussing later on. So that string, it is going to return a value, and inside that particular function you need to write the return statement. Okay, so if it all seems too complicated right now, don't worry about that. So now here what I'm doing, system.out.println. So just like here class is starting, here the function is going to start. System.out.println, this is my first Java program. So this is the output stream, and it is going to print this line to the output stream. Okay, and this is the parameter which is going to be accepted by this main method. So it is accepting the array of string. Okay, so now next one. So this thing I will be explaining it in more detail with the help of programs, so that it will be more understandable. So now these are the things to keep in mind when you're writing a Java program. First of all, the name of the source file, it should be the same as the class name. Like for example, here I'm writing this class program. Okay, obviously I need to write it inside a source code file. So the source code, the name of the source code file has to be program.java. It cannot be anything else. I cannot write it as example.java. Okay, I cannot write it as like ashik.java or ahmad.java. That is not going to work. So this thing also I will be showing you very soon when I write my own when I start coding, I will be showing you that thing as well. Then Java is case sensitive, that I already told you. Like Java is case sensitive, so you cannot write this. Here C has to be lowercase. You cannot replace this by uppercase C. That is not going to work. And in much the same manner, system is not system. So here, if you're calling the system things, so you cannot replace this capital S by lowercase s. That is not going to work. So it will give an error. So that also I will be showing you when I start coding. So I think the time does not permit me to do it in this video, so I will be doing it in the next one. So the main method has to be marked public static. So that also I explained why it is like that. Okay, so now let us go to the next part, compiling and running a Java program. Okay, now there are a lot of ways to compile and run a program. Okay, either you can use an IDE, like there are different IDEs which you can use. So what my recommendation is that you can use NetBeans, or you can use we can use Eclipse, or you can use IntelliJ IDEA. So the community edition, that one is free, so you can download it and use free of charge. And I think the other softwares, Eclipse and NetBeans, are free of charge only, so you can use them without any issues. So either you can use the IDE like this, or you can use Notepad also. Now Notepad, it is not a Java IDE, so that you need to keep in mind. Okay, Java Notepad is not a Java IDE. So in order to, after saving it as a Java file, so after writing the code in Notepad, and you will click save as, then after that you will type the file extension name and all. Okay, so after saving the file, then after that you need to open a command prompt, and then you need to write this particular line, java c program.java, or whatever the name of the file is. Like for example, here it is program.java, because I was explaining this particular concept. See here, if you have written example, then it will be example here. It will be example.java here. And in order to run a program, whatever name you written here, the same name you need to write here. Otherwise it will say that main class, I could not find that particular class, or main method was not found, or something like that. Similarly it will say. So whatever you are typing here, java c program.java, so now that is the reason why you need to do like this. Here if you write class program, okay, program.java will be program.java is the, obviously I explained about this here. So the class name should be same as the source code file name. Okay, so program.java means the class name also has to be program, and here we are writing Java program, because actually indirectly it is program.class actually, but we don't need to write program.class, so we simply need to write Java program. So the next thing is, that is what I've explained it in detail here. So you can see that here I'm creating the program class. Okay, whatever I explained till now, so that is what I have written here. So you can just pause the video and you can understand it a little bit. So that is why I've done it here. Public is access specifier, I already told you. JVM is going to call the main method. Okay, static method, it is belonging to a class, it doesn't belong to an object or an instance. And this arg, they are the command line arguments, and void, it does not return a value. So This another example I will be explaining, in the next video, I think, because I'm running out of time. So I need to explain this with the help of coding actually. Then only it will be even more clear. So let us just discuss two theoretical concept and so control statement, if else statement, and switch case statement. So if else statement, what is the concept of if else statement is like we say that if this particular condition is true, like here the number num it this variable, the value of this num variable, it is either less than or equal to 100, then execute this line of code. Otherwise, if this thing is false, then execute this line of code. So basically what happens here, so here the value of num will be checked. I don't know what the value of num is because I do not define it here, but whatever the value of num is going to be, here, like for example, assume, just let us assume num value of num is 75. 75 is less than or equal to 100. Okay, this operator I will be explaining in more detail, but actually right now the condition is going to be true because 75 is definitely less than or equal to 100. So this condition becomes true, so this line will be get executed. Okay, now assume that this portion will be skipped because this portion is true. So if statement is true means the else will not get executed at all. This portion will simply get skipped, and it will come to the line below this particular curly bracket. However, assume that num is 125. Now 125 is less than equal 100, the condition is false. Okay, so this statement is not going to get executed. Then it will go to else, and then this portion will get executed. And you can see very well 75. 75 is less than or equal to 100, the condition is true obviously. And if I write 125, 125 is greater than 100, obviously very easily, you can see that, that is how the concept works. So, like we say, na, like in real life, like if it is raining, carry an umbrella with you. If it is not raining, there is no need to carry the umbrella with you, right? So, and that this is also kind of similar concept. If you're doing some, if one condition, particular condition is true, execute that particular code. Otherwise, if that particular condition is not true, do something else. So that is the meaning of if-else statement. Now there is another statement called a switch case. So this is how the switch case statement works. So first of all, I am defining a variable here of integer type. So this int, it is a data type. Okay, so data type, then after that the name of the variable. So that is the syntax to create a particular variable in Java. And what is the syntax of the particular switch case statement? First, you need to write switch. Then after that, you need to open the parenthesis. You need to write the variable name, close the parenthesis, close that bracket, and after that, you need to start with curly bracket. Okay. So what happens here is I'm writing case 1. So basically this is what the meaning of this case 1 is. If the value of day it is equals to 1, if the value of this particular variable it is equals to 1, then execute this particular line of code. And after that it is going to execute this break statement. Now I will be explaining with the help of example, I think, in the next video, like why we write this break statement and what will happen if we don't write this break statement. Actually, if we don't write this break statement, actually what is going to happen, it will print Monday, Tuesday. Actually it will print both. Okay, but we don't want that to happen because we want, whenever the value of day is 1, we want it to the program to print Monday, and when the value of day it is equals to 2, we want the program to print it as Tuesday. Okay, so that is why we write this break. When we write this break, what happens is it comes out of the switch case, and it comes out of the switch case, and it goes below the switch case statement. So that is the concept of break. Okay, if you don't like break here, what is going to happen, it is going to print Monday, Tuesday. So I'll be explaining with the help of an example in the next video. So now this is the last concept which we are going to be discussing in this particular tutorial. So what is a loop? Okay, if we are executing the same set of instructions more than one, okay, you're executing the same set of instruction, but it is more than once. Okay, and that is going to happen until a particular condition is true. Okay, like for example, I have to, I may imagine that I have to print a number from 1 to 1000. Okay, what do you think? Are you going to waste time writing system.out.println 1, system.out.println 2, system.out.println 3? No, you're going to waste a lot of time doing that. Okay, and there is no need to do such kind of things. Actually, you can do it, in just 1 or 2 minutes. You can print 1000 numbers. It is very easy, and that is where the loop comes into the picture. Okay, so loop means it is going to execute the same set of instructions more than once, and unless and until a particular condition is going to be true, it is going to keep on executing it. Okay, so that is where it comes. So here I have given some examples like printing numbers from 1 to 1000. Obviously, that's the example which I gave right now. And iterating through the contents of a collection. Now, collection, it is a concept, a Java concept, which we'll be discussing much later. In fact, like we have array list. Okay, we have um, okay, we list sequences and all, like sets and all we have. So we'll be discussing this concept much later. So, but if you want to iterate through the contents of this array list, then it is best to go through, a loop basically. So these are the different kinds of loops. Okay, here I am not going to explain what these loops are. I will be explaining them in the next tutorial, or in the fourth tutorial mostly. So these are the different kind of loops. So one is the for loop, one is the while loop, one is the do while loop, and last one is the enhanced for loop. So these are the different kinds of loops. So this is the brief thing I'm going to talk about loops in this tutorial. So in the next tutorial, I will be explaining that how the syntax looks like, and how we can create a loop. So that's it for this video. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to post in the comment section below. And thank you for very much for watching this video. So if you like this video, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. Till then, bye and stay safe.